And welcome to Real Talk with Nurse Mindy. I'm Nurse Mindy, broadcasting from Iowa. This isn't just another nurse podcast, guys. It's a safe space for real stories from people who've walked the road nursing students are on today. From the hospital floor to the classroom and everywhere in between, our guests share the moments that tested our grit, our gut, and our heart. Tonight's guest is Hannah Tan, an LPN who stood beside me through long nights, staffing gaps, and the kind of moments that push you to your limits. She is the nurse that took me under her wing at my first nursing job, guys. She's been here from the beginning. And we started in Kansas City nursing homes, learning to tag team our patients, manage chaos, and still find room for laughter and a hot meal at the end of our shift. Our journey led to travel contracts, back to full-time floors, and a lasting support system for aides, patients, and our shared dreams. This show caters and centers on perseverance, resilience, and integrity. The real life stories that push us to grow when the road gets rough. We'll dive into Hannah's nursing school journey, the battles she faced, and how battle-tested nursing could have been a lifeline for her back. This space welcomes vulnerability and kindness, so no judgments. If you're listening live or in replay, share your thoughts in the comments. If you're a student or nurse considering what's next, you're part of this story too. A quick reminder, we celebrate the truth of the journey, not a glossy highlight reel. We're here to learn, to inspire, and to keep moving forward. Hannah, welcome to Real Talk with Nurse Mindy. Hannah is currently practicing in Florida, everyone, and was a trusted teammate who helped me survive one of the toughest times in my life. We met in Kansas City, as stated before, where CNA support was scarce. We learned to work as a unit, push through fatigue, and lift each other with humor, treating every patient as a person with a name and not just a chart. Hannah embodies resilience, compassion, and practical leadership. Qualities we'll spotlight as we discuss her nursing school journey and what battle-tested nursing could have offered along the way. Hannah, it's a privilege to have you here. Let's start with your nursing school story. Reflecting on your nursing school journey, what were the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you keep going? If you could change one thing about nursing education to better prepare students for real-world nursing, what would it be? And how do you think battle-tested nursing might have helped you navigate those challenges?
Well, hello, everybody. First, I want to say thank you, Mindy, for having me on your podcast today. It's a pleasure. Mindy's a long friend of mine now, and obviously I was a nurse prior to meeting her, but ever since, she made nursing doable in some very hard times. So I'm so excited to be here with you today. But going back to when I was in nursing school, which I was still a teenager because I graduated high school early. So that was a challenge in itself. And I don't come from a family with a lot of money, so there was not a lot of financial support, especially, there is financial aid and loans that you can take out, which is the route I had to go through to be able to go through nursing school. But just getting to nursing school, right? The preparation of it, and making sure that, you're able to have the funds, the time, along with everything else going on in your life. So for me, I was accepted into the RN program, and that's where I started, back in Virginia, where I'm from. And There's testing prior to, to see like placement testing where you're at. There's prerequisite courses just to get into the nursing program alone. And so there wasn't anything like battle tested nursing when I was going into school. So I did feel alone. Of course, YouTube was still fresh back then too. It didn't have as many things as it used to. There wasn't really podcast and such, at least that I knew of. So it was just my books and me, honestly. Unless I could pay for a tutor, and I did not have the money to pay for a tutor. So I was able to get through my prereqs, get through nursing school. I didn't really have like how do I say it? A class where I was able to have like study partners and get together and be able to do that. It was literally me and my husband. My husband was up doing flashcards with me.
So let me cut in for just a second, Hannah.
hmm
So the resources that was available to you, I mean, I get it because even when I went to school, the resources weren't enough.
Right.
They
There
weren't
wasn't
enough.
enough.
They were the bare minimum, and I didn't feel I needed more. I needed more,
hmm
you know. So if your school didn't allow, or did they allow for study groups, or was there just
Yeah.
nobody in your cohort that you were interested in joining with?
I think we would get in study groups and we would help try to do things, but there was lack of consistency in those study groups. So that is something I did try. And then also they're learning just as much as I were. So, you know, again, all we had to refer back to is those books. So even if we did do that, sometimes I felt like it was taking longer than if I was just at home, studying and such. But it was great to have those study groups, but it would have been nice to have other resources within the school that we could have leaned on, and there wasn't. There was only, refer to this textbook, or go on YouTube and watch a video about it. And I would say the same thing with hands-on skills. It wasn't just the textbook things that were the issue, it was the hands-on skills. There wasn't anybody that, even within the school, that we could call. Once your instructor's off, she's off for the day. There was no, if you had a question, you could email, but she's not going to get back to you to the next day. And that doesn't help when you have a test in the morning, or you're going into clinicals and you need to go implement these skills and you are not sure of yourself, right? And it creates a lot of anxiety, which affects your sleep, affects your eating. I know my health took a decline when I was in nursing school, a significant decline. But not just that, like taking it back, Mindy, to just getting in the program, right? Like, even a lot of nursing students, or whoever's out there right now who's trying to apply into the nursing program, you need support just as much as once you're in the program, right? And I think that's where like you need to lie down that foundation.
Absolutely.
And battle testing nursing is something, not only with the scholarships that will be offered, but the support, the tutoring, the resource guides, to have everything in one place where you're not spending all this time searching in several different places. It's condensed down to one where you can just Google, or not Google, you can search in that, file for everything that you need, or on the website that Mindy's created. So I think, Mindy, honestly, that's a wonderful thing that you guys offer, that when I do go back to school, I would use myself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what classes did you find was the hardest in nursing school, and why?
Honestly, one class that I really struggled with was microbiology,
Oh,
because yeah, I struggled with micro, and I love math and science, like that's like my
I
strong
do
suit.
not
So
agree. I do not agree. I can't agree on that one.
so like college algebra and all the nurse calc classes, those were easy to me.
And
But the
for me,
microbiology is something that sticks with me, that was so hard. And I think it was because of, honestly, my instructor. And you don't get to pick who you choose as your instructor, it's just whoever you get. And so, at least where I went, it was that way. And in that class, I did not have anybody that was really open to helping me, even when I struggled. Yeah, and so like I would ask, and sometimes it was a bit awkward on like they all had their person, right? I don't know where they came from, or I remember there being like a group of um like moms, and they were like four of them were like in their study group together, and they would help each other, and they were like acing everything, and I was staying up late and I'm studying, and I'm like, why am I not getting this? And that was one class that was really hard for me, and the teacher was not helpful. He was not helpful. Yeah, and so the actual lab part, like the hands-on was fine, but it was like the book, the text work just was not clicking for me. And so I needed help. I really did. And I searched stuff and I Googled stuff, but it would not match the curriculum when I would go in the classroom, right? Like YouTube might tell me this one thing or Google might tell me this one thing, and then I get in there and I'm like, no. And it was very hard. It would have been nice to have somebody like with
Everything is
more
constantly
experience.
changing in nursing
That too.
school. Evidence-based practices, I mean, change is inevitable no matter what we do, but specifically in healthcare.
Right.
See those changes, we have to adapt to those changes as we go along as well. So yeah, great. Um, very valid points, Hannah. Very valid points. Goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine, I think, would have been chemistry. And Lord, that chemistry, math, that dimensional analysis. Oh my goodness. It took me a year to grasp that concept. And that's because of practice, 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 and reaching out. And thank God my cousin was a high school math teacher, because that's how I got through college algebra. Okay. I sought out tutors for that. So asking for help is not a weakness, people. Not a weakness.
Not
Okay.
at all.
Um,
Not at all.
so tell me about your classmates. Were they clicky, or did they just?
Okay, so like yeah, I would say clicky. Which actually in the RN program it was fine. So when you're doing your prerequisite courses, right? Typically, it's people who are going into dental programs or maybe med programs that are not technically just nursing, and then you have people who are they're taking those classes, but they're also going to LPN or RN, different things, or they're applying to everything and just hoping they get into one, right? Because it's very rigorous. And so anyways, I would say that I went from like a class of 30 something people, and then each class it would get condensed down, right? Because people fail or they drop off. And there were so many cliques, and I'm not one to really fit into that circle, needless to say. Like I'm very tunnel vision, and I just want to get the work done. And so it was hard for me, and I easily get distracted. So a lot of times when I get with a group and I'm trying to focus on one thing and everyone's talking and stuff, and then I feel like it's not productive for me, I'm do better with like one-on-one interactions, in other words.
Hannah,
So
can I ask you a personal question? I'm sorry.
yeah, sure. What's up?
Do you have ADHD or anything like that?
No, I don't, not ADHD, but I do feel like as I've gotten older, due to like, I think anxiety too, I may have a little bit of ADD, just a little bit, but I've never been like formally diagnosed with it. But I can definitely, I feel like my mind is running and it's like, do this, do that, do this. So
Yeah.
I don't know, could be, but I would say I've had people in my class who did have ADHD and they struggled because there was not anything to help them or resources to help them, and they would make accommodations, but those accommodations were still not helping them with the curriculum that was given.
Yeah, because they provide extra time for tests or a room somewhere for you to take your test in. It's even though that they are beneficial, I'm not saying that those accommodations that are provided are not beneficial, because
Right.
we know that they
Mm-hmm.
are. They've proven to help, you know. But I do think that there are ways that nursing schools can offer their students additional help, if they choose to, or if they know about it. But of course, they have to know about it before they can promote it. And I hope to get the word out there. This is our first episode of Real Talk with Nurse Mindy, so I hope to use my podcast to share your stories, all of your stories, as well as to get the knowledge out there to others. So getting that word out.
Yeah.
More people talk, the more people
Yeah.
refer, I think the more adoption we can have.
Yeah, and I think it's actually like the books itself, right? Like not everybody, there's not a one-all for how people learn. Everybody learns differently. For me, it's like more hands-on and visual learning. Some people are audio. So I think that when you provide education, it should be given in different options for people who are
I
have
agree with that
different conditions.
too. I agree with that. Because one
Yeah,
thing I like to do is relate the concept to something in a person's life that's going on. Like
right.
if we have a male nurse here, he knows how to build cars or rebuild car engines and stuff like that. Okay, let's explain how the um, flow of blood through the heart, acts like an engine in a car. Let's relate that in a way, in a manner that's going to resonate with that student. And that's what we aim to do here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Well, I was gonna add on to that. It's so going back to when I was in nursing school, right? I'm young. Yes, I did have a partner at the time. But it doesn't change the fact that whether you have support or not, nursing school is hard, right? The most support you can get, or the more support you can get, the better. Unfortunately, me and I feel like I did applied for scholarships. I try to set up my foundation as best as possible with what I had. But especially if you don't have a lot of money. I was paying, not only to have student loans, but there was a difference of what wasn't covered by student loans. So I was having to pay over $500 a month to my school on top of the loans that I had to pay afterwards, trying to work full time, which was nearly impossible because you're at nursing school all day, every day. And then, well, not every weekend, but sometimes if you had to make up clinicals, it will get thrown on a Saturday,
Well,
unfortunately. So
not
then
to
there's,
mention, I know that my study group got together on weekends at the library or Starbucks, wherever we could to study. It wasn't just a 5 day a week thing. We were dedicated. Like you were saying, you have to have study group partners that were dedicated. I was lucky enough to,
yes,
and even as
right.
valuable as that was and as helpful, it still wasn't enough for me either. So
Yeah.
I mean, even in the perfect of environments or what you think would be a perfect environment, you still need more.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's great if you work great in study groups, but not everybody does. And then some people don't really have a lot like of time. Like me, I personally I needed people that were consistent because I had to go to work when I get off nursing school. And then the weekends I'm working. So I had to turn certain time slot of when I could meet and what I could do. And that falls on me too. But I was head in completely and trying to get things done. And when I tell you that not only did I focus and take notes in school, when I got home or when I got off of work, I was up all night long. I'll never forget the Mio. It's like this thing you squirt in your water.
Oh
This
yeah, 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 yeah. It's a flavoring.
yeah. Yeah, so I had the coffee one and I would literally all night long keep drinking that. Like I would keep
You
squirting my
drink
water. Just
that. You drink that at work sometimes too. I remember you see
yes.
squirt that into your water.
Yes. And back then, like I obviously I was on my own with my spouse when I was 17. So I didn't have a lot of money, right? He was working full time and then I was working physical jobs like cleaning houses and all of that, serving, hostess. So I was tired all of the time. So I was just constantly, that was the easiest way for me to stay caffeinated. But I remember waking up, writing those medication flashcards
Oh my
out
goodness.
front and back,
Oh,
and I would be up for hours writing those out, which is something that Mindy now has for the students.
well, yeah. Actually, we do. We have. They're coming out. We're releasing 5 every week, but we have medication cards for the 100 most used medications out in nursing. That is
Yeah,
absolutely true. And I'm doing them, you know, I want them to be ADHD friendly, neurodivergent friendly, and everything. So they're, you know, we hope to release at least 5 of those a week.
Yeah. And the thing is about that is, yes, I could put them in like a Quizlet, right? And they would do it would have the flashcards front and back. But my instructor said you have to handwrite them. She wanted to see them, right? So I had to do that part, which was fun. But it was so many medications. I had my little med book, and I'm writing everything out.
Time consuming.
It's very time consuming just searching for them alone and having the correct definition and all the
Yeah.
symptoms. Anyways, so yeah, there was times I wake up 2 hours later. It's time for me to get up, get ready, go to school. But I was up till 5 a.m. writing them flashcards. So, it is very hard, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it in the end. I faced a lot of challenges in nursing school. I remember I lost my grandma and during that time, and they were not going to let me be off for her
No way.
funeral. Yes, because they said if I missed one day for that class, I would fail that class.
Well, you know what? They told us, they said, you better have a backup for your backup for your backup plan because there's no excuses, mandatory attendance.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Absolutely.
it was hard. It was hard at times.
Yep. And I feel like there is, at least in the school I went through, and I'll be completely honest, there was rules for different people, which made it harder. It was a smaller school. And so that made things very difficult. Certain people are paying different tuition prices, right? That alone changes, you know, where I had most of my classmates didn't have to work in nursing school. I'm over here working full time. And um, there was just a lot of things I found out as I went on. And I'm like, this is crazy, right? But I mean, obviously that was a long time ago, but those things happen and at the end of the day, I got my nursing license, right? That's the most important thing. But there's just so many challenges that are faced. And when you're faced with those challenges, sometimes you just need somebody to talk to, somebody who's been through it, that understands it. And some schools don't have that set up for you. They don't have those resources. Typically, it's you and your instructor and your classmates. And especially nurses who are going to school online, if you're going for your BSN, and you don't have someone to talk to, like the battle tested nursing, you have that support now. Also, we have friends, we have family, but have they been through nursing school? Have they gone through it? Do they understand it? Not just nursing school, but continuing education, right? It doesn't just stop at your associates or your diploma. Like, you need that support all the way through to your BSN, your master's, whatever it is you're pursuing. Because when you think you can do it all by yourself, like Mindy said, don't be afraid to ask for help. It is nearly impossible to do it all by yourself.
Well, that's just like the Guinness Book of World Records lists a bachelor's of nursing degree as the most difficult nurse or degree in the world to obtain.
Wow.
Even higher than a doctor or a lawyer. Why? I don't know. Oh, wait, yes, I do. I'm sorry. It must be all of the dedication and the studying that we have to do to actually, do everything that is put on us nurses to do. I mean, and that keeps growing too. So, I mean, we're very versatile. We wear lots of hats.
Yeah, yeah. But I will say that there's nothing more rewarding. Like, once you get past the classes and you start to do clinicals, if you guys can even push through and get to the clinicals, and I will tell you, this is just a weird God thing. My very first clinical, I had a patient, and I remember that he was in like a vegetation state, and he was in a really, really bad condition. And it was the same room that my grandpa was in when he was at that rehab center. And I remember seeing the number on the door, and I was like, huh, that is so crazy. And I just got like goosebumps, and I was like, wow, that's weird. And the reason why I became a nurse is because I had two grandparents who were neglected by nurses. And I was like, I will never let that happen to another family member of mine ever again after witnessing what happened to them. And that there's everywhere you work. There's good nurses, there's bad nurses, there's, and I wouldn't say bad, but maybe not trained properly.
They are definitely not created equal.
And not created equal.
No.
But I knew I had the heart for it. And if you truly have the heart for it and you're dedicated to it, once you reach clinicals and you start to actually take care of patients, all that studying, all that being tired, it is so rewarding when you know you've helped someone or you've helped 10 people that day. You've put a smile on their family's face because they know when they leave that they're taken care of. So that's what pushed me ultimately. Not only my husband now, but taking care of those patients is ultimately what made me get through it, because I didn't have bowel tissue nursing, like I said. So, yeah, I mean, I got through it. And granted, so not only was it me going to my grandma's funeral why I failed that class, um, I mean, that was ultimately why I failed that class because I got dropped and then the class was not available, for me to continue. And there was, which I won't get all into it, but there was other things that factored in. And at that moment in my life, I needed to make money. I could no longer do working two jobs, going to nursing school, stay like my health was declining. And so I had to make a choice and I was offered to graduate at that point, drop down with the LPNs and graduate with them. And so I took that and I finished out, which was weird because I went from a class I knew to complete strangers. Um, but I finished out my classes, whatever was left for their program, and that's what I did, and I became LPN. And honestly, I don't regret that at all because whether you're an LPN, RN, medical assistant, whatever you are, I knew in my mind that I was going to go back one day. Just right now was not my time. It was not my timing, and I accepted that. But it worked for me, and it's got me to where I am right now, which we'll get more into. But
Huh. I mean, every nurse has their own struggles, their own challenges, whether they're in life or whether they're in nursing school themselves. And how many
mhm,
of us, I know that I was, but how many of us are afraid to bring attention to saying that we need help, especially in nursing
mhm,
school? Is our mental health going to keep us from getting that degree? Because that's exactly my thought. When I was going through nursing school in my prerequisites, I did take advantage of accommodations and stuff. But once I got to the actual nursing program, I was afraid to because I didn't want to be labeled as having a mental health issue or being judged because something was wrong, but I didn't have any valid, diagnosis.
mhm.
I didn't know what was wrong. I felt lost all the time,
Yeah.
you know? And I've worked, you know, you were there
Mhm.
I, for a lot of stuff. I
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and this is not something that I'm proud to say, but I was married to a different man at that time. And my marriage suffered because of nursing school too, because I neglected my husband because I was dedicating so much time to nursing school and studying and I put that first before my marriage, before my home, before anything, you
Absolutely. Me
know?
too. Yeah.
So we sacrifice so much as we're going through this, and a lot of people don't see those struggles.
Mhm.
And they don't know that other people are having the same struggles,
Yeah.
you know? And that's why I think
Exactly.
it's important for people to hear our stories, to get our stories, our experiences. Because some people, they experience racism at nursing school.
Mhm.
They, you know, certain schools may try to censor speech or prevent certain events from happening. Why?
Yep, absolutely. I've
You
seen
know?
all of that. I've been through it myself. Like I've seen all of those things happen. And I think that there's obviously politics and everything. But
Politics shouldn't be involved in nursing, though,
and
because
that
this,
right.
I mean, we've got people's lives in our hands daily.
When you
We
stop
already have enough to worry about.
Yeah, when you stop centering your focus on patient care, that's when issues arise. Everything you do in learning and working, your mind has to be set on the patient first, and that always be your number one priority. If your mind is elsewhere or your intentions are not right, you should not pursue that because whether it's teaching a class, whether it's working as a nurse supervisor, whatever it is, your number one priority should always be the patients.
Absolutely.
And whatever it is to provide, like for me, I'm a nurse supervisor, whatever it is to provide my nurses with the support and care that they need so that way they can be the best nurse to the patients, that's what I'm going to do. No matter what role it is, that needs to be your number one responsibility. And I feel like sometimes people's intentions are just not pure. Um, but like you said, not all of us are created equally. But there are very amazing nurses out there that I've worked with, that I've had myself when I've been, in the hospital. And I'm so grateful for them, and it's great that you listen to their stories. Everybody has a background, a story. But I will say, you just have to persevere. You have to push through. And if you can't, like I said, at that time, and it is just not your timing, that's okay. Go back. Don't give up. Like, keep going to school. Don't give up on your dream, whether you have kids, whether it's financial issues. You put your mind to it and you can do it. And now, Mindy, like you were saying, just having all those resources for them to use, for having somebody like you that they could meet with, to talk to with their struggles, somebody who maybe has ADHD and that you can relate to. Sometimes when we're in school, our instructors don't talk about those things, right? So if you're struggling, 50% of people that I know don't speak up like that. They're truly struggling. They're embarrassed. And so I think that if we have people share their stories, it will help other people feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. Like me, I struggle with anxiety so bad. And yeah, there's medication, there's a lot of things, but I was prescribed medication in nursing school and it did not help me. It knocked me out and I was not able to do my schoolwork.
And see,
I'll be completely honest.
That's the beauty of battle tested nursing too, being outside your school. Your school doesn't have to know what resources you're getting from us or how you're studying the material, because at the end of the day, the test that you take, that NCLEX, there is
Right.
absolutely no way that you're going to get and know every question that's going to be on that test and know every answer. I don't care who you are. It is just not possible, because in a true nursing mindset, you learn something new daily.
That's right. And that's okay. That's how it should be. You're going to keep learning. So you're doing nursing for 20 years. You're going to learn every single day something new. You don't need to be discouraged and you don't need to feel embarrassed if you do not know something. Mindy knows from us working together, there was times when people would embarrass her, make her feel as if she was stupid because she didn't know something. And that's when, we'll get more into it, but I took her under my wing because I'm like, absolutely not.
And that was our leadership.
That was our leadership, yeah.
Our DOS, assistant DOS.
And the training was not setting you up for success. So get through nursing school, but even after, you are going to need a support system, even being a nurse, like I said, whether you have a wonderful family backing you, husband, a wife, whatever it may be, it's for life. Like, you are going to need that support system. And that's been my experience. That's how I feel about it, because I feel like nurses need nurses. We need each other. And when you are in the nursing field, foster that positivity, foster helping people, because you were once in their shoes when you didn't know a thing. And so don't make someone feel like they're stupid, and I always look out for people who I can take under my wing and help, and Mindy, you were one of them. I remember the day that you walked in and I'm sitting at the desk at the time, and was it our ADON?
Probably.
Yeah, our ADON. Yeah.
Which one, Denise or the other one?
The other one.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, at the time. Denise wasn't there yet. And so, anyway, so I was sitting at the nurse desk, and I remember we were in the ERU, Express Recovery Unit. Yeah. And I looked over and you were standing in the office, and I'm like, because I want to know who I'm about to work with, right?
Right.
And so I'm like peeking, like just
nosy Hannah.
Being nosy. And I was just looking over like, okay. And I was listening, right? And I remember that conversation of how it already started off rough. Like, I could already tell, like, the conversation of what's going to be expected and everything was not realistic. And so I already knew what I was in for. And I wanted, you to feel comfortable, especially was that your first nursing job?
That was my very first nursing job, and you are the nurse, that I connected with that took me under her wings, and we developed that beautiful friendship that we have today, and
Yeah.
even when time passes, we still, whenever we do talk, and there's dynamics that prevented us from moving to Florida too together because that was actually supposed to be a team thing there too, and it just didn't work out with the passing of my mom and me going back to nursing school for my RN, and I had to go back to Kansas City. So there was a lot of stuff that didn't happen there that we had planned to do. Um, but it was my first nursing job, and you know the environment was bearable only because of you.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that.
Literally only bearable because of you. I knew that if you were there, even if we were separated, which they tried to do a couple of times to put us on the opposite sides of the building because they knew how good we had become, you would come over any chance you got just to make sure that I was okay and that I didn't need anything or need help with my med pass, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever I needed to get done. And we had some brutal ADONs at that particular facility, and very, very cutthroat,
Mm-hmm.
eat your young
Absolutely.
type of nurses that did that to us. So I want to
Yeah.
try to foster a different environment and teach a different mindset and focus
Mm-hmm.
on the positivity of what battle tests and nursing can bring to the table because we can be the sidekick over here throughout your whole nursing school journey. Select courses, of course, on the prerequisites, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but all of your nursing courses and things and such, you know, we want to provide that additional resource and be right there in your hand, just an email away, a message away, a DM away, from a comment away from getting you the help that you need right then, you know,
Absolutely.
even though, after a certain hour, we may or may not get notifications in time for certain things, granted, but the earlier you contact us, the earlier we can get with you and start working with you, the more prepared you're going to be for this journey. And this journey is a brutal one for us all because we all make sacrifices in order to get through it because that's just what we
Yeah.
do to accomplish it.
And
That's
that's not to scare anyone away, but to
no,
say,
no, because it's
to
very
say,
rewarding, especially when you save
yeah.
first life.
Yeah. And also, I was going to add to what you were saying, Mindy, before you go to the next thing. So sorry to cut you off, but anything hard in life or anything good in life is not easy to get to, right? So, I, I hope I said that right. Um, but you have to work for it, right? So, it's definitely rewarding, like she said. But Mindy, I think, what you have going on here is very valuable, to nurses. And looking back, because I went to nursing school 10 years ago, which that makes me feel old, even though I'm not old yet. Um, uh, I wish I had somebody like that. What they like, I don't know if you've ever been in college and you're in these sororities and you have like your little or like your big, which I wouldn't know anything about because I didn't go to like a physical college like that. But I would say like it would be nice to have that. Like if I had someone like you back then. And I think
So,
it's,
are you trying to say that if you went back for your RN, that you would take battle tested nursing with you?
of course, I sure would. Yes. I mean, I now like being in nursing, like it's good to refresh your memory on things. Like I feel like you have to continue to educate yourself. When you're in nursing, I mean, other unless you're like a float nurse working on all the floors and such, you're going to find your niche. You're going to find a specific or a specialty that you're working in. So you want to still refresh your memory on other topics. So I think it's beneficial not just for people who are in nursing school, but people who are actually still in the workforce, or if you're a preceptor, if you're a supervisor, if you're an ADON, a DON, they can all use the resources that you have to help their team. So I
Absolutely.
don't
And
think it just benefits those in nursing school.
no, because like the podcast, it's designed to help after they graduate and pass the NCLEX and become nurses. That's why we have a podcast only option, so that they continue to hear all these wonderful stories from the nurses that we plan to have and showcase on our podcasts and everything, because we truly believe that everybody has a unique story of some sort, whether it was a
Mm-hmm.
patient that touched your heart, whether it was um, another nurse like Hannah, that made an impact in your nursing career, or life experiences that happened and you had to, you know, reassess your situation, you know. What about finances and stuff like that? I know for a fact that when I was in nursing school, every week, my husband got paid every week at that time. And he made okay money, but, and we could have probably managed our money better. I'm not saying that either, because we ate out a lot, you know? We ate out a lot because there was times when I didn't get in until 8 o'clock at night after being gone since 6 a.m. studying,
Mm-hmm.
So when I got home, I didn't feel like cooking, so it could have been better probably financially for us, but we were negative at least $500 a week in our accounts every week during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And in between semesters, because I knew without a shadow of a doubt that the amount of dedication that I needed to put into nursing school, I was not going to be able to work during that at all. I already knew it because of how dedicated I had to be and how focused I had to be. Because back
Yep.
then, I didn't know I was ADHD. I didn't know I had that diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't find that out until I was 44 years old. And then looking back, it made me think, and be like, gosh, things look so much different and everything makes sense now. Now I know why I ran out of time on that final and missed 20 questions or more, because I ran out of time because the girl in front of me was stretching and going like this, and stuff like that, breaking my concentration, and I could not refocus, you know? Let's be honest, had I had medications and been medicated back then, that crap wouldn't have happened.
And sometimes
You
that doesn't
know?
even help people. Even medication sometimes is still not enough for
No!
people. They need like
No!
a place to focus.
Yeah, yes. And, looking back, I was devastated when that happened to me, because that's when I got kicked out of nursing school in my senior year. And nursing
Mm-hmm.
credits don't just transfer like that, because each curriculum is different at every school. So it's
Yep.
like, oh my gosh. So I knew I couldn't go through that shit again.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that.
Yep. I mean, we were selling our furniture. We went from a full apartment to selling our couch,
Wow.
selling our table, selling everything we could, selling our
So,
rugs because we needed money so I could finish it out.
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I took student loans. I'm still paying back student loans. Over $65,000 worth of student loans just to get to where I originally started in a RN program, but then
Yeah.
failed out my senior year and had to transfer to a different program. Just so lucked up, and they accepted my credits,
Mm-hmm.
and I was allowed to graduate with my LPN instead of my RN. And,
Right.
I'm not even saying that that wasn't even a better way to go, you know, because you really don't do your true learning until you're out there on that floor. because you can learn textbook stuff all day long, textbook this, textbook that, but every patient you encounter is going to be different. They're going to have different side effects. They're going to have different reactions to medications. Nothing is going to be the same. And don't bring the little humans into this because they're a total different, topic altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, Mindy, to add to that, I was just gonna say that, you know, everybody's journey looks a little different, right? Whether you get your CNA, because I used to be a caretaker prior to nursing school, whether you get your CNA, your MA, your LPN, doesn't matter. Because look, I had my LPN way before Mindy, right? And then once Mindy became a nurse, I took her under my wing, and now I don't have my BSN. She has her BSN. So everyone's timing is different, and that's okay. And I feel like sometimes when you actually get into the nursing field, you feel a pressure, or you feel rushed, or you feel like a title is put over you. And I want to encourage those who are listening, or those who follow Real Talk with Nurse Mindy, that do not let that cloud your mind, because it's very important that you stay on your path. Don't look at their path and compare, because again, the way you started and the way you end is going to be looks totally different than what their journey was. And we're all dealt different cards in life, and we don't know when you do get a nursing school if someone's going to pass away, or if something happens financially that you didn't expect. Whatever it may be, you will get there. The key thing here is consistency. You just keep trying, you keep at it, you keep going. And you have, when you are a nursing school, set up your foundation prior to getting there, because that will help you along the way. And I'll be honest, don't go back if you do not have support. It will be very hard, and as a nurse, it is not good for your health. It really is not good for your health, for your family, for your children, for your spouse. You want to also take care of yourself, because the field of professionals that neglect themselves the most is nurses, honestly.
Oh,
No,
that
that's
is so
not
true.
a
Oh my
statistic. That's
gosh.
just me.
Oh, we need to get that as a statistic though, because that is so freaking true though, Hannah. You know it. It is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
But whoever's listening, I really hope that this touches somebody and encourages them, because I once was a little teenage girl who didn't have a lot of money. I was just starting things out. Everything was so scary from the beginning to the end up until now. Like, I've come a long way, but it is very scary. And I just want whoever's listening, whether you've been a nurse for 50 years or you're not a nurse yet, I want y'all to know that you can do it. Whether you're trying to enhance your career path, or you're trying to just get your nursing license, you have to tell yourself every day when you wake up, you can do this, and you can conquer it. And whenever you feel discouraged, or you need help, or you need resources, reach out to, battle tested nursing. They're there to help you along the way. And I truly wish, Mindy, that there was something like this. But due to our experiences, that is why now there is something like this. So I think that's
That
very
is true
amazing.
too. That is true
Yeah.
too, because when I was working in the hospitals and in the nursing homes, and even as an RN, you know me, but a lot of other people don't really know me and my heart and how I want to help as many people as I can. How I was that nurse that when we walked into those residents' rooms at the nursing homes, I went out of my way to try to make them laugh because that may be the only laugh that they have that day. And I wanted to make sure that they at least had one every time they seen me. So that no matter if they remembered who I was, maybe they could remember my kindness when I
Absolutely.
or my ability to help them. And that wasn't just for family members. I mean, for patients. That went for family members as well because they need support too. Their loved
Mm-hmm.
ones are going through something terrible in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and they could be just as lost as any nursing student is, Because
Mm-hmm.
most people do not have that medical background to completely understand what is actually happening, and
Yeah.
being there for them, providing them with what they may need so that they can sit there with their loved ones,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I think you did a great job at because it doesn't take a degree to be nice to somebody, right?
No, it doesn't.
Anybody can wipe someone's bottom. Anybody can be nice to someone without a degree. And I think you had that prior to having your degree. And that's what
I
makes you so
also wanted
special.
to recognize and show appreciation for our CNAs, when we had
Mm-hmm.
them, because without them, we couldn't do
Yep.
our jobs to the best of our abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So they themselves are priceless to us too. CNAs, the medication assistants, all of them, LPNs,
Mm-hmm.
RNs, working as a team, you know,
Yeah.
it
Yep. Well,
makes it makes the floor run so smoothly.
yeah. I think when you again, when your mindset is the patient, it's not this is my job, this is not my job. If you, whether you're a nurse, a CN, a manager, if your mind is set on what's best for the patient, you're going to go in that room and just take care of what the patient needs. You're not going to be calling your CNA always to come take care of it because they might be helping another patient. You're going to go ahead and take care of it because that patient needs you right then and there. And Mindy, I will say, and whoever's listening, me and Mindy, there was many times where our CNAs would call out, or we didn't have CNAs, or we only had one for 50 something patients. We could not expect that one CNA to take care of all of those patients. So every time we would go pass a pill or bring them water or whatever it was, we would change them. Even if they were dry, I would still make sure that everything else was good. Have they had a bath today? Has their hair been brushed? Has their teeth been brushed? It wasn't just about changing. There's so much more that goes into it. Have they been asked how they're doing? Because if a lot of times a lot of people don't know if CNAs are short staffed, they are in and out, right? They can't really have that one-on-one connection with these patients because they are spread so thin. And so just saying, oh, what you watching on TV today? Has your mama called you today? Have you gotten that brownie that you love having every single day? Little things like that. And it only takes a few seconds. It really
Yeah.
does. But there
My
are
favorite,
nurses.
my favorite question to ask the residents, it was, how did you meet your spouse? Or how did you meet your husband? Because even if they had
Yes.
dementia, that's one thing that they could remember. They can
Oh, yeah.
literally tell about their younger years and the life experiences that they had back then. That's what I wanted to know, you know? That's what I would
Mm-hmm.
ask them about.
You just reminded me of a funny story. I was talking to I was talking to a patient in the hallway, and she was actually talking about her spouse to me because that was something that, like you said, she remembered. And this is in the memory care unit. And one thing that they would always do, or that he would always do, is like run a bath for her, like after a long day or
Oh,
whatever. And
yeah.
so one day she goes, "Yeah, I'm running a bath. I'm running to run a bath for him because that's what he's always done for me." So she left her water on in the room,
Oh,
flooded the whole unit
oh no.
because, she doesn't know.
Trying to be so sweet and she forgot.
Everybody was so mad. But when I tell you, I was just so in awe because memory may go, right? But her heart was still there. And I just remember that day where I just was like, oh my God. Like, I know everyone is so angry right now
Yeah.
because the mess we have to clean up. We had to wheel everyone out of the rooms. But I just remember that being such a special thing, right? And
Yeah.
that, sorry, that just reminded me
No,
of
no, no,
nursing.
that's perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Those are little ways that residents are just able to touch our hearts, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um,
Absolutely.
you build a rapport and a relationship with every patient that you come in contact with,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a good one or a bad one. Because I've had patients that didn't like me too, mainly because I wouldn't give them what they wanted. But, well,
Was it the diabetic ones?
no,
I'm just
no,
kidding.
no. It was more like
Mm-hmm.
the ones that liked pain pills or
Oh, okay.
or wanted to try to get over just because I may have been a new nurse at that facility or what have you.
Mm,
They thought that, hey, it's a new nurse, I can get away with something kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
But, and some things I would let them get away with, as long as it didn't cause harm to themselves or nobody else. But,
Yeah.
and then there was other times like I would be like, no, we ain't doing this today,
Yeah.
not today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I remember, because all nurses are different, but I'm very by the book, but I'm also very sweet and understanding. And so like there'll be some nurses who give them whatever they want to eat. And I'm like, I come in, your blood sugar is this, way over what you should be. And I'm like, we're not doing it. I love you. I'm doing this because I care. I want you to stay alive and healthy. And I think too that, like you said, we're not all made equally. Some people will give them what they want, so that way they don't have to deal with them. And I'm just not that nurse. And so I truly care about their well being and want the best for them. And I wanted to tell you that not only is it good to have support, through nursing school, like I said, and once you're a nurse, but it's not just management. Sometimes it's difficult, or your coworkers. Sometimes the patients, like you just get around to patients that are so difficult. They're rude. I mean, I've been spit on, I've been hit, I've been through it all. Just due to their mental state at that time. But it's important that you have like someone like Mindy to work with that made getting through those days very doable. I know I took you under my wing when you came on, but you have made my job so fun. We had some hilarious laugh. Well,
Oh my
I would
God,
say
we had the whole floor. Our whole unit was rolling on the floor.
when I tell
Oh,
you,
wait, before we go into these type stories, though, let's just put work always came first.
of course,
Work
yeah, yeah, yeah.
always came first, and those patients came first. And sometimes those patients were actually up there participating with us. So,
Mm-hmm. Oh, when we
work
were
got
working,
done.
they
Work
were
got done first.
So, you know how they want all the patients up every day? So the way me and Mindy would get them up is when we're both at the nursing station, they would wheel themselves, get themselves in a wheelchair, wheel themselves to that desk just so they could talk to us. We didn't really have to get them up. They were motivated to come see what was going on. And of course, we were trying to chart in the little bit of time that we have, right? Wrap things up or call doctors. But you know what? I don't regret all those hours staying late when it's supposed to be a 12-hour shift and what we were there 16, 18 hours sometimes.
Sometimes.
I do not
Sometimes.
regret it at all. I remember all the patients, and me and Mindy would come up with these funny names, um, but not not anything mean, not anything mean, but we would come up with things to help us, just get through the day and stuff. And it wasn't like joking them or anything, but there were situations that it just came out, like I don't know. I was gonna talk about our powder story, but that one I have told that story to so many people. Oh my gosh. That
Well,
is
I mean, that may be we may have to tell those type stories on a different episode,
right, of course.
yeah,
But
um,
no me nicknames. It was certain situations that we would call those things, not the patient directly, but
right, right,
yeah.
and, you know, it was, it's funny,
I'm
and,
sorry.
just thinking about it has us laughing, both of us, just all that's how funny things were and how crazy it would just get, but,
Well, we're gonna have to do an
well,
episode on that because
absolutely, absolutely, and I'm sure everybody has patient stories like that too. Maybe we can make it a series or something one month where we do nothing but those type stories.
yeah.
But battle tested nursing is the bridge that helps students and nurses navigate rough times in nursing school and their early career. It's about practical leadership, real world skills, and a supportive community that proves you're not alone on this journey, okay? We want to hear from you. So share your own nursing school moments, okay? We want to hear those. How you persevered and what you wish you'd known earlier. Remember, this is a safe space, so kindness first, always. Questions are welcome in the comments, and we'll typically address live question during live episodes at the end. But if you're listening on repeat, feel free to send us your thoughts for future episodes. And thank you, Hannah. Thank you for sharing your story, your kind words, your resilience, and your view of battle tested nursing to our vision. Your journey proves that blood, sweat, and tears of nursing school are worth it for the growth, care, and leadership that they yield. If you're listening, please like, share, and subscribe to this important conversation, or so that this important and imperative conversation reaches more students and nurses just like you. If you're joining our Thursday session or our history piece, we'll compare 1950s guidance to today's evidence-based practice, an eye-opening contrast that grounds these stories in progress. So check the show notes and for resources and battle-tested nursing links. We'll be back next Tuesday with another nurse's journey and Thursday with a deep dive history piece. Until then, stay kind, stay curious, and stay battle tested, and have a great night. And remember, we are here for you, and we're willing to invest into your future. Keep that in mind. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.